Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So tomorrow is the official release of The Walking Dead: The Ones Who Live, or technically tonight if you're gonna stay up super late, but I'm not gonna do that because I can't do that anymore. And so for those asking, like, am I gonna be staying up really late and doing streams like that? No, I'm not doing that anymore because it was really a lot to wait until like 3 a.m. for the episode to release, and then I'd watch it. It'd be over at like 4 a.m. and then I would do my reviews and all that. And it just, like, again, I'm also like I have kids and like I have to be up when they're up. So it's just it was always so hard to do that. So I just decided, you know what, I'm just gonna watch it in the morning. And I did that a lot for Daryl Dixon, and honestly I didn't really see that much of a difference. And plus I think it's better for you guys to have some time to watch the episode. Because I know a lot of you guys don't want to watch the episode for the first time when I'm watching it, just because of, spoilers or this and that. And so I think that watching my reaction to it kind of thing could be a lot more fun. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing on Twitch. So if you haven't followed me on Twitch yet, definitely go do so. I'll be doing that every single Sunday. And yeah, again, I am so ready. Like, Rick Grimes is finally going to be making his return after how long, right? It's been so long since he left the show. And I just, again, the opening minutes yesterday, I mentioned that, like, it really made it feel so real, like the show is actually here. And ever since then, like, I can't even watch old episodes of The Walking Dead because it just doesn't feel as epic. Like, The Ones Who Live, the quality of it is so insane. Like, the only thing I could probably watch here would be like Daryl Dixon or Dead City, which I do actually want to go back and rewatch. I rewatched a bit of Daryl Dixon's premiere recently, and really incredible. Honestly, I think what it is it is the quality, it's the music. It's like this next era of The Walking Dead. It feels new and like fresh, so it's just more fun to watch, and it's fun to be like. And that's the thing. See, this is what was always missing from The Walking Dead in the last couple of seasons. Like, for the first 5-6 seasons or whatever, or maybe more than that, I was able to go back and like rewatch episodes, and then it got to the point where it was like I just didn't care. And season 9 is like one of my favorite seasons. For people who stopped watching, I would recommend to go check out season 9. It's a really good season of The Walking Dead. But season 10 and 11, it was hard to go back and rewatch some of it just because I don't know. I'm not saying it's not rewatchable because the story is good and all that, but it's one of those things where it just doesn't have that quality to it, I guess, for me anyways. But it's different now with Dead City and Daryl Dixon. It just feels like everything here is so important and exciting to watch. Like, it just feels different overall. It feels very, very different. And so, like I said, Rick Grimes is finally returning. The moment that we've been all waiting for is finally happening tomorrow. And I am wondering if this episode is going to focus more on Rick, because I know the first movie was supposed to focus more on Rick, obviously. I don't think Michonne was going to show up immediately. I think she would have shown up in the first movie, like probably towards the end, and there would have been something there. Which, again, like, I don't know, it depends. Like, I've always assumed the story would be like, the first movie was all about Rick, and we'd see his life at the CRM. He would struggle with this and that, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, you would see Michonne show up in like a post-credit scene kind of thing, and basically teasing her return, right? Because at that point, Denagra just left, and so I thought that they were going to be filming right away, but it didn't seem like she was returning right away as well, because she had other things that she was doing. So I figured, okay, so probably the second movie then, because that would be a couple of years away, which was, I remember at the time thinking like 2024, which is kind of funny. And then obviously a lot of that just didn't happen, and it turned into this, which I think this is the best, version of this that we could have gotten. Like, The Walking Dead, I think, could work as a movie, definitely, but this story, I think, needs to be told in this way, and it couldn't have been told the way that The Walking Dead was told, but with the higher quality to all of it, like, this is the best. Like, this is something that, like, everyone's watching, and, like, no one has an issue with it, and it's so cool to see people that haven't watched The Walking Dead in a while come back to check this out. And I mean that, like, a lot of the comments aren't that negative about this show. Like, with Daryl Dixon and Dead City, a lot of people were like, oh, is this show still going on? Like, you would still see those comments all the time. With this show, it's really not like that. Like, I haven't really seen that at all. You'll still see a couple here and there, but, like, it's really been like, oh, what's this about? I've even seen people say, like, oh, yeah, I was so whatever with The Walking Dead. I stopped watching after Rick left, but I checked out Daryl Dixon, and it really felt like earlier episodes of The Walking Dead, so I'm excited for this kind of thing. And I know a lot of people, personally, that are going to be checking this out. Like, again, it is something that is making The Walking Dead just overall more exciting, and I think that it's the most excited that people have been in many, many years now. And so, going back to what I was saying before, I do think that episode 1 is going to focus a lot on Rick, but I still think we're going to see more of Michonne, because I'm pretty sure that, they're going to be reuniting in episode 3. And so I'm trying to think of how they're going to sort of, do all of that for episodes 1 and 2, how they're going to pace a lot of that out. And I think that episode 1 should focus a lot more on Rick, but we'll still see some stuff of Michonne because we do need to see where she's been at, this and that. But I just think that in terms of Rick's story, the reason why we'll see more is because there's more to explain there, right? Like all the CRM stuff, there's a lot there that's like, you know, are we going to see flashbacks of things of him, you know, showing up in the helicopter? Like there's a lot of little things like that I'm just like, yeah, there's a lot with Rick. Whereas with Michonne, we kind of know what she's been up to and we know that she's still searching for Rick. So mostly it's going to be more of a current timeline thing with her, right? Like she's just out there trying to find Rick, though there's going to be some stuff with that group, though. I think we should see some stuff of like how she met that group and just like, you know, episode 2, I think, you know, will focus a lot more on Michonne, and I think that probably does make sense because at that point you're going to probably see her getting closer and closer to Rick. And then I don't know how episode 2 ends, but obviously I think episode 3, it should be the one where they all reunite, just because a lot of the earlier reviewers were talking about the first 3 episodes and mentioned like, you know, them reuniting and stuff like that, and a lot of the focus was like on the 3rd episode. So I'm just like, okay, yeah. So I think it's probably going to happen in that episode. At least that's kind of what I'm assuming. In terms of death predictions, now, I will say, I don't think anyone's going to really die in the first episode. Like, I'm not including, like, background characters and stuff. You know, like, side characters and stuff, I think, are going to be safe for the most part. I don't see anyone dying. Like, Pearl Thorne, is she going to die? Probably not. Nat, no. I'm trying to think of other characters. There's, I guess, Okafor. I don't see Okafor dying in episode 1, but I could see him dying in episode 2. And then there's the other 2 characters that Michonne's with. I don't know what their names are, so obviously we'll probably learn that right away. But yeah, I could see them dying because I just don't see them being around when Michonne is with Rick. Like, I just don't see them having that big of a group at that point, which I actually made a note here about Nat as well. I was thinking about that. I'm like, well, when Rick and Michonne are together, you know, we see a lot of scenes with them, or not together. Like, obviously they haven't released any of that, but we see scenes of like them sort of in that truck or whatever. And I'm assuming Rick is there, but I'm pretty sure that he is there. And obviously there's this whole thing going down with Jadis. And I'm like, Nat is not around. So does he die at some point beforehand? Like there's things like that. And Pearl Thorne, like, I don't know. Actually, I think she'll probably be fine for a bit because it kind of seems like there is more of a story there with her at the CRM and all that. So I think she will be fine. So in terms of death predictions, honestly, I'm going to say that I don't think anyone's going to die in this episode. Like obviously there's going to be background characters and stuff like that. But in terms of all the side characters, you know, I think that this episode is going to serve as a premiere, basically introduce us to everyone. And I think that will basically be it. You know, then I think in episode 2, that's where some characters probably could die. But I think in terms of this first episode, we're probably not going to get any of that. And in terms of, you know, will we see Major General Beale? I want to say that we could. It's so hard to say. Like, he could show up at the very end, right? Like, he could actually show up at the very end, but they might want to do a build up to his reveal. So it depends. Like, do you do a build up to his reveal or to Jadis's reveal? And a lot of this depends on, you know, Rick Grimes' story at the CRM, because there's so many things that we don't know in terms of like the specifics, right? Like, why do they want him there? What is his life like there? Has he ever talked to Major General Beale? There's like a lot of little things like that I'm just like, you know what? I think we're just going to have to wait and see. There is a lot with all of that. So in terms of Major General Beale, I guess if I have to make an official prediction, do I think we'll see him in episode 1? I want to say no, because I feel like that's probably the safer answer here, but I'll just say, yeah, I think we maybe could see him at the very end. And it's sort of a cliffhanger to the episode. But yeah, The Walking Dead: The Ones Who Live is obviously premiering tomorrow. I am very, very excited for the show. This should be my last video until the review, so definitely post all your thoughts down below, post all your hype. The show is here, well, it's almost here, and yeah, I mean, I can't believe we waited all this time, and we're finally here. We're on the verge of actually watching this show. So, and yeah, my next video is going to be the review, the episode 1 review video that I have been looking forward to do for a very long time is finally going to be getting released tomorrow. And I'm excited to actually break down the entire episode. I'm going to be spending a lot of time doing them, and I've honestly, like, I've been enjoying making the videos longer overall. Like, videos being shorter in length, like, I feel like I've always been sort of just like getting through like all of my thoughts very quickly. Like, I'll just kind of go from this to this, and I you know, I only get 10 seconds to say this, or I only have a minute to talk about this point, because I'll make a bunch of points and there'll be like 10 to 15 things, and I'm like, well, if the video's 10 minutes long, I only have a minute to talk about each thing. Some things are much longer, so that's what I mean. Like, going closer to 20 minutes, and then even for the reviews, if I can push it up to like 30 minutes minutes even, just to talk about certain scenes, you know, more in depth, talk about my thoughts on it, talk about what the characters are probably feeling in those moments, this and that. I think it just makes it a lot more fun. And I know that it's a little different than like what people are usually watching, because it's a lot of like, you know, very fast, quick content, right? It's just like, it's very fast stuff like that. But I also kind of view it like, well, podcasts are also popular. You know, people like to just kind of like sit back and listen and just kind of, you know, it could take a half an hour or whatever, but you know, I'll do the dishes and listen to this, right? That's kind of, that's my thoughts on that anyways. But yeah, tomorrow, episode 1, post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.